Okay. Hello, everyone. Very nice to see you. And well, my name is Mina Lopez Lugo. I am representing here the Global Pro Bono Network. We have this podcast during Pro Bono Week every year. Well, we started last year, so this is the second year. And well, last year we had very interesting interviews. What we start normally our podcast is with inspiring stories. That is what is important. But a little bit about what is Pro Bono Week. Pro Bono Week is a week in which we all around the world celebrate Pro Bono. And it is a celebration about using your skills to work for an organization because you believe in the social impact that it is having so that you can make a change in the world. And you donate your talent and your work so that something can change. So today we have an amazing story that is about education, and it is about children, and it is about good hearts. But you know, something that makes this different is that normally we have these pro bono interventions, so these pro bono missions, in which have different kind of executives that they participate. But in this case, we have in this program, we have executives that they participate with a very interesting profile, and that are very committed. So I am going to introduce, well, ask our guests to introduce themselves. And of course, I have to do it myself. So as Mina, I was just saying that I represent the Global Pro Bono Network. But if I was my 9-year-old self, I will say that Mina is a person that is super interested in people, that sometimes she is, I don't know, participating in too many things, but that she sees that she's very happy with her family, with her husband, and with her dog living in Germany. So I think that is a little bit who I am. And well, of course, very happy with my family in Mexico and in Germany. So thank you for being here. And Elizabeth, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Mina. It's a pleasure being here. Yeah, my name is Elisabeth von Kampenhausen. I'm part of the executive team of the BMW Foundation. And my 9-year-old self, I'm just thinking how my youngest daughter would probably introduce me, would probably say that I am passionate about connecting people around the world. I'm constantly traveling and trying to push for social and environmental rights to become a reality. And yeah, and that we have a very happy place at home as well with 3 children and yeah, a beautiful life in Germany. And shall I hand it on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Aksel, I'll hand it to you.
Very good. So it's a good challenge you gave us here, Mina. Yeah. So how my 9-year-old self would introduce, let's say, myself. So I think one thing I would say is flexible, innovative, creative, and loves new cultures. So I've lived in 4 different countries. I'm moving now to the US, right? So there will be number 5 now. So I really love, to understand new cultures. I lived in South Africa, in China, in Germany, in Brazil. And despite the name Aksel, Krieger, I'm actually born and raised here in Brazil. So with a Danish background. I'm passionate for cars also, cars and people.
Thanks a lot, Aksel. And then we will pass it to Gabby.
Thank you. And it's really nice to hear. I think my 9-year-old would say that I love doing what I do. I hope my child, who's 6-year-old, would say the same thing, that I'm really passionate about what I do, that I like working with children, that the most wonderful moments are where children tell me what their hopes are and what they want to do and how they see the world. And I guess also my 6-year-old and my 9-year-old would say that I travel a lot and that I take too many things many times, and I'm trying to be good at everything, but I also take time for myself. So this is me, and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. And something interesting that we have in common is that we are very passionate people about what we are doing. So I think our 9-year-old would be really happy of the kind of adults we are today. So that's excellent. And what we are here today celebrating also a program that is very, very interesting. And it has been happening some years with the BMW Group. And of course, with also the participation of the BMW Foundation. So thanks a lot, Elizabeth, for being here. And can you tell us a little bit more about what is Ready Go? When we hear about that, what is what we are talking about?
Yeah, Ready Go. I think Aksel can also introduce perhaps even better, because it's a program of the BMW Group, not of the foundation. It's a program that prepares participants for the challenges facing senior leaders and advance their leadership capabilities in their role as drivers of the sustainable transformation of the BMW Group. And what's interesting here is the pro bono component, which we've been part of as the BMW Foundation. And like the Ready Go program runs with partners in different parts of the world, in Silicon Valley and in Singapore. And the part that we are partner of is looking at leading with purpose. And so what we do is, on the one hand, introducing subjects that are very close to our work around responsible leadership, that is about sustainability, the Sustainable Development Goals, around diversity, otherness, cross-sector collaboration, and so on. Also purpose, working with purpose. And we realized very soon when we started our collaboration in 2016 that it was very easy to inspire people, but it's not so easy to really convey what those different worlds are all about, because we're so far apart sometimes. And so what we brought into the partnership is not only meeting social entrepreneurs, but really rolling up our sleeves and starting into deep collaboration with different social entrepreneurs, so that both sides gain a deeper understanding. So how does a corporate think? How does a corporate ask questions? What does a corporate see? And on the other hand, corporate see, oh, this is how the work of a social entrepreneur looks like, get a better feeling of the agility, the constant flexibility and adapting to different circumstances, the very precarious framework responsibility, like the social entrepreneurs have to operate in, because very quickly, if one person, one foundation stops financing, or if one little thing happens, if a pandemic hits, of course, every foundation of planning is has to be renewed. And I think, like, when you work at BMW, you have a planning horizon, Aksel, correct me please, but normally for 7 years or so, and then you have milestones, and then you kind of plan backwards. And so you know now what's probably going to happen in around 7 years. Gabi, if I look at your work, you probably would say, well, lots of beautiful plans, but it's very far away. And how do you bring those worlds together on a very respectful basis? And I think what you said in the beginning in the definition of pro bono, Mina, it's not only about executives helping with their expertise and skills, social projects, it's also the other way around. I think the social projects helping executives in business to understand, how values change, how societies function, the dynamics in the social fabric we are all part of, to really understand how that works. And so I think it's really a two-way road, if I can put it that way. And that's what we try to instill into the Ready Go program.
Excellent. And I think you are doing an amazing job helping to find these projects, right? Between the group of responsible leaders and all these kind of amazing organizations. And you mentioned something really important, because it's a two-way learning, as you mentioned. We as pro bono intermediaries, what we are is exactly like that. That is the bridge, and the work that you were doing, of course, we're the bridge between an organization that has a very different language and a corporate that has a very different language. And at the end, how are we going to work together, and how we are going to have learnings together? And I always like to mention that I participated in a program in which we have also a very high executive. And I was asking him, how many people report to you? And he was telling me it was around 2,000 people. I know, Aksel, you're a CEO, and of course you have more people reporting to you, but it was a guy that was participating with other executives. And I was asking him, what do you miss from your work? It has been some days that was a program that was a global pro bono, in which they traveled to a different country and they stayed some weeks there. And he was saying, honestly, nothing. I am not worried, because I know that my team is going to back up me. I am just interested to see what kind of leaderships are the ones that they are going to pop up. I have some idea, but I might be surprised. But I will never change this thing that I'm doing today, because for the first time, and I mean, like an adult with adult children with a lot of success, and he shared with me, this is the first time that I wake up in the morning and I have a purpose. And it's a different purpose that is not business, it is not numbers, it is not to achieve this. It's a purpose that is changing the people's life, and it is changing myself. So it was for me, so interesting to hear someone saying my goodness, this is the way I wake up today and what I am doing. So I think that starts with my first question to Aksel, because participating in this program with Pauta, with the children, and in this social challenge, what are the learnings for you participating in the Ready Go program with Pauta and with Gabi?
Yeah, I think, Mina, you made a very nice summary regarding the purpose, right? And I think for me it was really the power of purpose. I think we always talk about it a lot in organizations, but I think when you're close to NGO, right? And then you're working together with the children to help, you know, in education is such a powerful thing. And for me personally, also coming from a developing country like Brazil, and you see the power of education and the impact that this can have in society, I think this is tremendous. So I think, you know, working with Gabi, that was for me very, you know, brought us very close very quickly. And this was also very interesting from the Ready Go program, is that they tried to match the profiles the best way possible, right? So they ask, okay, what are your interests? Is it education, right? Is it mathematics? Is it, you know, and then they would try science, and they would try to approach us closer to the NGOs. I think this really helped also to bring a closer connection. But I think for me, the biggest learning was really the power of purpose. And really I have my personal purpose also, right? And I think one of them is really to make everything around me better, right? So that's not only the company, my friends, my family, but also society in general. So I think the leading purpose module of the Ready Go was fantastic. And they brought this connection, this personal connection to me very fast. So this really helped. I think another thing that came to my mind very quickly when you asked the question is also really listen to understand. So sometimes in our daily business, you know, we're especially in big corporations, you're going through so much material, so much information, and I think really have to stop, listen, and understand where Gabi was coming from to get a better, let's say, understanding and fit also, right? I think that was very important. And these are things that you can bring into your daily life very quickly, and will be very helpful for you too in your daily life, right? I think also from and I think Elizabeth mentioned this in the beginning, also flexibility, adaptability. You know, I think this also in daily business nowadays, very, very important, because the world is changing so fast around us. If you look at the pandemic, right? We did the digital side. Probably we had projects for 5 years that we had to do in 3-4 months suddenly, right? So you really have to be quick on your feet. And I think also working with Gabi and, you know, and then Pauta also is really this flexibility and adaptability. I remember Gabi coming with a lot of different ideas. All of them were very good, right, Gabi? And then we had to select which ones would give the biggest impact on one side, the biggest return to the foundation. And I think that was also a very deep learning from our side. Really, is you have so much on your plate now, but really learn how to focus and bring the agility, flexibility to your daily life. And I think you can apply this so well also with organizations like Pauta, and then there's so much good exchange that can happen between us that is fantastic. They have this attitude, okay, let's do it, let's try it, right? And obviously in bigger corporations, you have to be much more careful, right? And conservative. And I think this is really something really cool from let's say working with the foundation. Also, this let's give it a go, let's try it. This type of startup mentality for me was a tremendous learning.
Thank you, Aksel. And yeah, it is a lot of inspiration when you see these groups in which there's not so many people and they are doing amazing things and a huge amount of work. What is what you explain, Gabi? How will you introduce to ourselves? Like we have been hearing amazing stories about Pauta, but what Pauta is doing? Why it was different for this team, and the challenge? What was the challenge for you?
Pauta has been working for 15 years on opening spaces for kids and youngsters to find a space for them to like to really focus on what they like, that is science. No? So opening these spaces gives them the opportunity to do science in a different way as they're used to do it in school. Not because it's not the right way, but because it's a place where you do extracurricular activities. And from there, we have seen that they develop their critical thinking. So they're doing what they like. They're doing it with peers that have the same interest. And what we do is really to focus on how to develop critical thinking for their lives, not only for their professional interest, but also for them to be able to decide with all the information, what do they eat, who do they vote for, what do they buy, no? So that's something that has been really important for us. And we are connecting the scientific community with the children. So we have been doing this, as I said, for 15 years, and has been growing. So now we have like this beautiful challenge that is, we have a lot of opportunities we are getting a lot of funds from the Ministry of Education and from other foundations, but we had to have a sustainable way of growing. No? So that was our task and our challenge when we arrived to ReadyGo. And we were thinking on doing, we need to have a corporate company that goes along with the NGO, no? Which for us is really far away. Our board of directors, they're all scientists. They were like, but how are we gonna do it? It's a good idea. Like scientifically, we know that this is something that we have to do and this is good for about that. But no one wanted to involve, no? They were like, but this is not my world. This is not something that I understand, no? So for us, it was wonderful to get this beautiful team from ReadyGo, no, and present to them, this is our challenge, or for them to say, okay, no, but we have all these ideas, as Aksel said, like we arrived with this, and we can sell this, and we have had another pro bono, no, with team, and they told us to be able that we would be able to do these other things. So we had all these ideas. We had the challenge of even how to create the company. No, it was from scratch. So now I think that was the challenge that we brought. It's a way of not only how to be able to have the funding that this time is for the Ministry of Education is a one-time budget, no, that it can be in another years, but not as big as this year, where we are certain about that, no. So it was really quick for them to say, we have to get the same budget for next year. So how are we going to do it? No, we have time and we have all the elements to be able to do it. So now the challenge was to think about how to do it right, and how to scale without losing our essence, that is being an NGO, that is having this quality for the children. We follow up the children for up to 14 years. So that's a challenge to grow in the country and in other areas. So that was a challenge that we brought to the team, and that they really wonderful accepted, and that we have been working for since May, and that we have now the products that we're going to come out with, and how are we going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, Gabi. And as you mentioned, it has been like around for some time, in which you started with a pro bono team, also from a different corporate. And they were the ones bringing the idea of doing business. And I remember, because we were related to that program, that it was kind of shocking in the beginning, right? Like for scientists, like, no, we should never charge for services. But at the end, because it was like a process in which it was very fortunate that in this time, it was like more open mind, like, okay, we have been hearing to this idea before, and it was super interesting that now it has been like with this team doing these amazing things that we're going to talk more about the results and about the way to do what you are doing right now. But Elizabeth, I would like to ask you, because all this, it is like chemistry, and that is most of the things that we are doing as pro bono intermediaries. Like, how can we choose, like, who are going to participate, the kind of organizations? You have been participating in this for years, and it is a learning process, of course, learning, like, what are the things that work, what are the things that they don't work too much. What are the tips that you can share with us that they have been making, like, this program to be better and better every year?
First of all, we put quite a lot of thoughts into the matching process. So we ask, Aksel, you already said something about it. So we ask every participant from BMW about their passions and their skills. And then we ask the participating programs quite exactly, what do you need? And during that process of what do you need, we often give a lot of feedback, because sometimes we know what you need will not be able to be fulfilled. Like, if somebody asks for something very specific, NGO law, whatever, it's not going to be at BMW, right? So to kind of try and balance already in the forefront, what's a good challenge to work on? So the scoping process is really something that we put quite a lot of effort into. And then also we realized what sort of projects are probably the best. And we realized if it's too early stage, it's the risk of major things to change over time is very high. And we felt that was sometimes a bit overwhelming for the BMW colleagues, because they started off doing something that they thought is really relevant, and then things changed, and they started again, then things changed, and they started again. So that wasn't very helpful. And also programs that were already very far off. So so the challenge sometimes becomes more and more specific and more like smaller. So if it's sometime in the middle, where you still have that ground for developments to be possible, for new things to emerge, and for really to reshift or the program in a way that allows to integrate innovations that come out of that interaction. And when it's too professional, there's not really, the need is not really there to really, except if they build up something new then within that like older, more professional umbrella. So that was like in terms of scoping, I think that was something we learned quite a bit. And I must also say some of the partnerships were incredibly successful, but not all of them. So also things came in between, people shift, or like we had, we once had one had a physical accident and wasn't there for several months, and then in such a small organization, nobody can step in. Or we had a person who just changed jobs, and then the whole team of BMW came into the new job and had to start a new. So also those sort of dynamics are not always easy to hold over time. And then, obviously there's also people at BMW who were, posted into a different position and had to fight a crisis and weren't there for 3 months or so. So that happened. So you have those hiccups in the partnerships. But I think what really overwhelmed me is the goodwill on both sides, the goodwill of really making things work and really making this valuable, and really being able to make a difference, the curiosity, the open mind. That was something that I was really surprised to see. In 2020, we started off with the program in March. We had a physical meeting, and during the week we met, COVID came closer and closer, and in the end already half of the group had to really run back to their countries because the airports were closing and everything. So it was really dramatic. And then we asked everybody, the whole program of Ready Go was closed for a year. And then we reached out to everybody, say, how do we continue? And all program teams said, well, never mind Ready Go, of course we continue the pro bono partnership with our projects. And that was really, really touching for us. So it wasn't because it's part of a leadership program, but because people cared. And that's, I think, was a beautiful signal.
Thank you, Isabel. And well, I have a lot of questions also for Aksel, but one that I think is very, very important, because it is very common that all the different kind of challenges at the end for organizations are about money. But money is something that you have to see how can you bring it. It is very different when you are working in a corporate and it's about business and about sales. When you go to an organization that has a social program and they are willing to do something different, and they are willing to start doing something that they don't know, but that you know, but in a different way. This is not like your area of expertise, but at the same time, you have the expertise. So what have been for you the key elements that make this project, and of course for you, like doing this analysis, this project, of course it was a challenge, but at the same time it has been very successful. So what are these key elements for you that they were really, really important to make this work?
Yeah, great question, Nina. I think for one, and I said this I think a bit in the beginning also, is the listening part extremely important, right? Also I like what you just said, also the creative side, be curious about it. I think this also helps a lot. So this is definitely a tip that I would give. And I think also use the team strengths, right? So in our team, we had Gabi from Pauta, we had a colleague from ours that worked in communications, we had engineers, you had me that came from more, let's say, a sales and marketing background. So you had all this diverse talent in the group. So I think it's really to learn how to leverage each other's strengths. And it was quite interesting when Gabi came with a problem or an issue, how people dealt with it in different ways, right? So obviously the engineers have this very structured approach that you can use it really well to get to the deep, to the end of the problem and really analyze the problem in the right way, and really deep exercise, let's say, right? And then you had the sales colleagues, the marketing colleagues. So I think for me is really listen, but then also take a step back and then use the team dynamics to handle the issue and let each other help each other in the best way possible. And this came automatically. We had one of our colleagues, Adam Sykes, from communications also, and and Jorg, and we had so many other different talents coming out there. That was really, really interesting for me to see how this came about, and then the respect that was there amongst us, really to, okay, this guy is really a great engineer, let's listen to him, right? And let him handle this issue, or more in the sales and marketing, and then let's put all this talent together to apply it in the best way possible. And I think we had very good learnings from this exercise. And I think for me again, and I repeat it again, is this really the curiosity, the listening, and then really use your skills in the best way possible. And I think in the end of the day today, right, we live in a world that's so complex. We talk about VUCA, right? So always the world is very volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. And I think all of us now are getting very well trained in let's say, in solving problems that come very fast to you, right? And you don't have much time to analyze and sit and react. And I think with this, if you don't use the skills of your team, right, to be able to execute the best strategy, you won't be able to, let's say, to operate in today's world. So I think for me, you can apply this to NGOs, you can apply it to the business world, you can apply it to your personal life. And I think the more we stretch ourselves into different elements, like we did now with Pauta and the BMW Foundation, the more exercise and more training you get for this, and then really to apply it for the good of humanity. So I think it's really, again, going back to the purpose that we discussed in the beginning, right? You can really apply this in a very good way, and that you wake up in the morning, you say, okay, today I'm going to sit with Pauta and let's make a difference for these children. I think that gives you a lot of energy, and then really using each other's skills to be able to deliver on that.
Excellent, thank you. And I think something really important is also about, because let me tell you, it's not easy to find many projects in which we have CEOs participating. And you made me remind one project in which we were presenting the results of the organizations. And there was this CEO that he was there just to say hi. And he started listening what was going on, and he stayed like the whole time that we were doing the presentation, and everybody was searching for him. And nobody knew that he was there because he was like so interested. And you could see his smile saying like, wow, this work was amazing, and what the challenge of this organization, what the team were doing, things like that. And I could see him like saying like, oh, I am the CEO, I can participate in this because it's a program from my colleagues. But this really goes different. You have the CEOs, and sometimes we have this idea that because you're a CEO, you don't have the time. You know, you are super busy, that is true. But at the end, how you participate in these pro bono programs that have lasted months. I mean, it has been at least, I think now 8 months. And you have found the time, and you have been participating, and you have been really involved. So what would be your recommendation for the ones that they are saying, probably I cannot participate because I am in this level, and this is like for other kind of colleagues? Would you have a recommendation about that with your personal experience?
Yeah, I think as a tip, you say, in the end of the day, we all do these. It's like when you're running let's say a race, right? And this applies to your career, and then also to your daily life. I mean, you cannot be moving 200 kilometers per hour all the time, right? But you can do sprints, right? You can do sprints, and then you control yourself, go back again to your rhythm, do another sprint. And I think this is something as a CEO for me is the biggest learning. Okay, you cannot be at, as we say in our business, 8,000 RPM all the time, right? But you can sometimes accelerate, and then deliver on this, and then take a step back, and then go again. And then if you can pace yourself and control that, you can deliver a lot. So I think obviously we all work long hours, right? And sometimes you have to give it a stretch. But I think it's a stretch for the good here with Pauta, and something really, really different that we all learn, and then we all can contribute and then make a difference in the world. So I think for that, we should find time. And if we apply ourselves, I'm definitely sure we can find the time how to do it and how to apply it. And then, as I said, use the pace, right? Like in a marathon or in a race. And then sometimes you have to accelerate a bit more. It's part of the game, right?
Right, and if my CEO is doing it, why won't I participate in something?
Yeah,
like
and everyone comes on board. Exactly, everyone comes on board. Yeah. And then you get even more power, right? Yeah.
Can I add on that, Mina? Because I think especially when you're CEO, you have to step out of your comfort zone at times to be able to see the whole picture again. While you're in the group and while you're in the challenge, you can't see what's really happening out there. So sometimes being forced out of context can help you to refocus and recalibrate when you step back into your routine in a way. So I think pro bono is also that opportunity, to be able to stay innovative in your mind. I think you have to break routines from time to time, and that gets. I totally understand the pressure that you shared it's difficult, but taking that time and forcing yourself to step out of your own routine helps you, I think, to see what you're unable to see when you're, or to learn and unlearn. I think the unlearning part is probably the hardest, to just questioning things that you've grown used to by seeing that other people do it in a different way and say, oh yeah, I've never thought of, we could also do it that way. Or to really, I think friction also creates, you need friction to create wealth and energy, and that energy helps to create the dynamics that you need in innovation. If you constantly stay within the context that you're very familiar with and you know really well, there's a danger to have a blind spot on what might need to happen in your own company as well.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Yeah, in terms of the comfort zone, I think the moment that you learn the most is exactly when you're outside the comfort zone, right? So I think that's exactly a very good point here.
You are right with that, and we have had some experiences with people that they started going for the first time in their lives to a co-working, that open space for two entrepreneurs, and you share, like, it's not an office, you share your table and everything, and then when they see like there are not walls, you don't have an office, the dog is walking here, they are like, oh my God, what is going on here? But it is about that, to start thinking out of the box and having a different kind of ideas. And Gabi, just to end with this amazing conversation, it is a little bit about what has been happening with the program. What are the next steps with Pauta? What is the result of this work?
I think for us, what the BMW Corp team did was also make us think outside the box, no? And I have a different order. I think what happened during the pro bono or the purpose partnership was also that we learned how do they work, no? And we reflected a lot, because it's not everyone trying to do everything, and that's what Aksel was describing, that different the way we were working, no? And when we are in an NGO, everyone wants to get involved, no? And everyone wants to be an event. And we are like, everyone is in the team. And we learn a lot, not only about the process that we were doing, the challenge we were working, but also the way that it was divided, and what Aksel said, the confidence they have among them. Like, you're gonna take this part, and we're gonna have this methodology to work, and we're gonna see how it works. And if it's not the best one, it's okay. But that's something that was really, really good. So for us, what's not only the part of the purpose we had together, but also learning another way on how to work, how to see things, and how to be a team, no? And for the future, what we are looking forward is, now we have two products, and we have like this whole mindset for the company that we're gonna have. We also have this idea and this purpose on how the NGO works together with the company, no, in Pauta. And what Aksel said, that we had all these ideas, now we center into, and we have a really good program on how we're going to work on them. So what we're really happy is that the whole team is really engaged on continuing and see it following up and see how we're going to grow. And so what we're going to do now is starting to put everything now in practice. So we are starting to get in everything now. We have all these ideas. We have been working also with other area of BMW, because Aksel has connected to other areas, and we're thinking on other things that can help. But for the purpose we had and the challenge we have, I can say that we have now everything set up, that it's well set up, no? Because at the beginning we were just like moving around and being really frightened on how it was going to work. And now we have an idea on how to do it, where to place it, which other allies do we need, and how we can work more commonly with the company world, no? And I think that the most important thing is the change we had in our mindset, not to be afraid, learning on who they are and how they work and how we can make it together. And we hope that this can help other NGOs. We are now working with other responsible leaders, telling them this is something that many of us think that would be a great idea. We're going to put it into practice, and we hope that this helps other organizations also.
Thank you, Gabi. Like, it's a win-win, because it's not just you. It's like, this is like also exposure for many other organizations. So, Aksel, are you going to be involved, continue being involved in this project?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we have some next steps already defined, right? So I put Gabi also in contact with our CEO in Mexico too. So we have some ideas that we can explore together in Mexico. So yes, and then she knows she can count on me, and we want to see the project, be very successful, and we're fully behind it. So it's not just one sprint, right? It's the whole marathon that here we're together with Gabi and Palto. So definitely she can count on all of us for this journey. And we already have some next steps already defined.
Excellent. So that is what we want always to see. Like they want to continue being engaged. That's exactly great. Well, and now a last question. It is, if you can help us. This is for everyone, because we normally are looking for everyone in our work. It doesn't matter if we work in a corporate, in an organization, if we work in Latin America or we work in Europe. We all have like different kind of ways and hacks to succeed in life that they are working for us. So I would like you to give us like an example of a hack that is working in your life that you can share with our viewers. So Aksel, you can be the first.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So I think for one, I think I learned this a lot when I lived in China also. One for me is meditation. So I think definitely it's some time that you really have to find some time in your day to do it, because I think if you kind of manage to unplug a little bit from your daily life, right, and then take a step back, you really get a big learning out of this. And it can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and find some time to do this. So that's something that really helps me a lot personally. Exercise also, that's something in my daily routine that I really try to keep up. Yeah. Another thing that for me is very important is reading, right? And I think reading for me is one of the best investments you can make in your life, right? Because if you think of let's say the author, he spent probably 3 years writing that book, and you can consume that book maybe in 1 week or 2 weeks of information, right? So 3 years, let's say, of research development, and you get it in 2 weeks. So I think that for me is one of the biggest learnings you can get, is really reading, spend time with your family, and then really learn how to recharge. I think there are a couple of hacks there, Mina, but I think these are some that I use for my daily life.
Excellent. That leads me actually to another question. I have to ask for it. What is the latest book that has been for you like the most, like, wow, I love it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, and there's one called for me that for me was really impactful, is The Infinite Game. Yeah, so The Infinite Game is one of his latest books. I think for me that was the best one I read, the last, I would say, let's say 1 year and a half, 2 years. That for me is the one that really marked me.
Yeah.
And it's not only about, it's not only one game, it's much bigger than that. No, it's not only, if you look at my industry, you're going to look at market share, you're going to look at sales and all that. That all is very important, right? But you also have to be wary of the impact that you're going to have in the world, and you have to last, like BMW has lasted over 100 years, right? So you cannot just play the 1 or 2 year game. You really have to play the long game. And I think with this book, you get tremendous learnings there.
It's amazing lectures. Thank you, Aksel. Yes, about how winning milestones is an infinite game, as you mentioned. Thank you. Elizabeth, what is the hack that you will give us?
First of all, I really want to back The Infinite Game, because I think it's an amazing mindset that we bring. So it's not about winners and losers. It's about finding, the best way for everybody, if possible. And I think that's something we need to come to, that sort of, we as a foundation have this vision of helping to bring about a new leadership paradigm. And I think this is one of the foundations of a new leadership paradigm. We have to come to collaboration. We have to come to long-term thinking. We have to change those short, quick wins, which in the end are destroying the foundations of our well-being, very fundamentally. But that's on a sideline. No, you're asking me for my hacks. I think one of the hacks I'm using a lot is finding common ground. And I really like that, the energy that you can create if you come out with people, and everybody comes from their own sort of interests, and try to define what is the common ground that we can define, where we can step further together and really make headway together. And as long as it's in both our interests, we can even collaborate with people we don't like, and collaborate with people we find very unlikely allies for our issue, but we can move much faster and much further if we start exploring and really focusing not on what divides us, but focusing on what connects us. I think that's a very deep sort of life hack that I'm using a lot. And otherwise, I totally back also what you said, Aksel, on identifying what helps you recharge your energy. And for me, it's a lot the family, and really not bringing all the rucksack of your daily work back to the family, but really try to make a cut and leave everything behind. And then the next day, sometimes I wonder why I was so excited yesterday and what was the big trouble again? Yeah, that was this fight again. Exactly. And you realize how much, it helps you to make a cut, and then suddenly all your emotions are calmed down and you don't get into a stress factor. I think that's something that's very, very important for me as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Gaby.
I would have two, I think. One that Aksel mentioned a lot, which was listening and being able to, and not being afraid to speak also, like trust in people, trust in what we create, even though we come from different worlds, even though, as Isabel said, we might seem to have different ideas, which is something that's happening a lot in our country and in Latin America. No? So I think that's something really important. And the second one, for me, I also take time, and I have discovered that meditation is something really important for me. But I love to do it in a way, finding or having time with a child, not your own, maybe another child, to get the time to talk, to play a game, to listen to what they're doing, how they see the world. That always recharges me, and tells me how to have a different mindset and how to think different. So having time with a child, I know I do it a lot because it's what I do for life, no? But I think that's something wonderful, just to find, I don't know, an evening and a little time to play a game, to listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, that is amazing, Gaby, because, well, you are working in education, but many people that they are seeing us, they have children, and the child is like in your house or very close. So being close to them is something really important. And well, it has been amazing meeting you guys. This is mainly about how we bring the best of ourselves, of course, mix it with our talent, with our skills to help other people, but mainly about how important this is because it fulfills our hearts, it fulfills our souls, and it makes us feel that we are here learning a lot, but we are doing something to make our world better. So we keep, of course, these hacks, something really important that you mentioned to us, like meditation, how important it is to be grounded and to focus in connection. And of course, to identify and how you can recharge your energy, that is really, really important. And of course, listening. I think that is something that's really, really important. And these pro bono programs are about that, because you first have to listen, then to identify what is going on, and then you can come back to say, I think this can work. So thanks a lot, because it has been listening today, and it has been amazing doing this with you. And well, we wish you all the success with this program, all the success with all what you are doing with your next adventure, Aksel, all the success in the US. And of course, we will continue seeing you here in Pro Bono Week. We are just starting, and hope to see you in our next podcast. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Mina, and good luck for the Pro Bono Week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.